gaming. And as I'm calling the panelists, the rest of the panelists on stage, I just want to find out just a very brief poll from those of us that are seated here. How many of us are currently playing any game? Whether it's a mobile game, it's on console. I just want to see whether we have gaming enthusiasts here. That's about a quarter of the population, or a quarter of the audience. Do we know that we can play games on devices? Do we know that we can play games on devices? Do we know that people are making a life or a living out of just playing games? So if you want to hear more and you want to learn more and want to see how, as a telco, where we fit in this, please just give us 30 minutes of your time and we'll sort of like have an engagement. So at this time, I want to introduce the panel. I will start by introducing Ken Oyolla. Ken Oyolla is part of our panel. He's the Chief Commercial Officer from Nation Media. I want to call upon Felix Mmene as well to come up on stage. Felix is a Tribe Tech Lead, consumer business in Safaricom. I want to call upon Fawzia Ali-Kimanthi, our Chief Consumer Business Officer. And last but not least, I want to call upon Ronny Lusigi. Ronny is the serving and the current president of the Federation of Kenya Esports. Thank you. So let me thank you for accepting to join this panel. Gaming is a cultural force. Something is happening in the world, and we know that in the ranks of entertainment, video, music, gaming is now a very strong player. Gaming has actually overtaken music and video as a leading entertainment activity that actually, let me say, the youth especially are partaking. And with that background, I'm interested to find out, maybe I will request Ken to sort of like paint a picture of the gaming landscape, sort of like how globally gaming has shifted into the lives, and it has infiltrated into the lives of our youth, and actually what they are doing with gaming.
Good, thanks. I'm going to start and answer that by telling you a little bit about myself and my claim to fame here. So, as you've heard, my name is Kenneth, and many years ago when the mobile revolution was starting, I was responsible for managing the Nokia business, and I remember selling over $100 million of those entry-level phones, which had most likely the first game that you ever played. And what was it called? Snake. Guys, I sold to Safaricom. I think Safaricom ended up buying about 400,000 of them, and they were used at every M-Pesa store. And of course, later on, I was privileged sitting in London, and when Symbian, which was a platform that Nokia was running, needed apps and gaming apps to be ported on. So I was privileged to travel to Finland and other countries to engage with companies like Electronic Arts and Rovio for Angry Birds to bring this onto the platform. And very interesting times. Today I am a storyteller, and I guess at some point at 5 o'clock today, my daughters will be calling me to ask me what time I'm getting home. The reason for that is because they're waiting to play Roblox on my phones because it is blocked on their phone that they use to speak to me.
True.
And more of that coming on later. But when you think about the market size is, what when I check some numbers, the gaming industry is worth more than 150 billion. And it only comes third after the first, which we all know is sports, which globally is about 500 billion. And the second is TV, which comes with OTT, that is a close 300 billion. It's a really, really big industry. Without hogging much time, I'm really looking forward to engaging and sharing anecdotal experiences of what I see today and what gaming could be. Bringing it closer local, we were privileged as NTV to run a program called Mavericks, for which the first one was one of the leading gaming people, a lady called Queen Arrow. You can check it on Mavericks, and just listening to her and the depth to which gaming is going into, I'm really looking forward to engaging a little bit more on that. Hopefully that kind of answers the question.
Yeah, true. Thank you so much for that. Maybe Ronny, as the president of gaming in Kenya, basically the federation that is tasked to grow gaming, would you bring it closer home and just paint the picture of gaming in Kenya, and particularly esports?
Thank you very much, Frank, for having me here. And I'll begin by saying I was born 28 years ago in a tough place called Kibra. And it's my passion for video gaming and soccer that kept me going. So in our community, video gaming was a form of, and it still is a form of immersive entertainment that engages young people and children. I've grown up now to take it a notch higher, and video gaming gave birth to what we call now esports, or electronic sports, the space in which I operate in. And for 2.5 years, I've run an organization known as Index G Esports, where we run esports events in the country and try and link up our talented video gamers to international esports competitions. So it is in the backdrop of that I've become the president of the Esports Kenya Federation. And we are, as you said, tasked with growing electronic sports in our country. As Ken has rightfully mentioned, video gaming is one of the most popular forms of entertainment that our young people are engaged in right now. And for us is now just to make it more productive and to offer a more enabling environment, working with partners like yourself here at Safaricom and policy makers, just to ensure that the activity of video gaming can be used in a more productive sense as a form of living, as you've said, for the players, as a form of living for the support staff, because you have people in production, you have people now who are referees in these games, and to also as a showcase the work of local video game developers in our country, so that we can also link them up with the video game developers out there, just to up their game and maybe in the future to see Kenya develop the AAA games that can be used in competitive gaming.
Yeah, so there's obviously a very big need or a very big requirement for us to be able to sort of like have local games that are sort of like playing at the same level as Angry. We need to get studios that will compete with Rovio, Gameloft, those game developers that we already have, for whose games actually are the ones that we are playing mostly. And this is something that we believe is under, let me say, it's not been looked into as much. And this is something that we are very keen, and this is the reason why I want to ask Fawzia to paint a picture of the telco fit. Where does Safaricom fit in all this story?
Absolutely. So good afternoon, everyone. First, thank you so much for coming in such large numbers and for your interest in this event. So at Safaricom, we are all about connecting our customers so that they can be able to live their passions, connect with friends, connect with communities. And how we do this is first by making sure that the network is there. And then the second thing is by making sure that they have the right devices. But beyond that, it's about enabling them to exercise or actually experience their passion points. So one of the things we've realized is that as we've started sort of like getting people into this world we're calling the internet, the young people who are, if we say Kenya, the median age is 19.
Yes.
Their passion points are quite clear. One quite interesting passion point for us in Safaricom that we are seeing is gaming, and more specifically, mobile gaming. It's actually surprised that quite in a nice way. So music used to be the big driver in terms of how customers used to use mobile data on our network. We are seeing a lot more of the young people, and young at heart, because we are seeing gamers all the way up to 45 and above, and young at heart actually playing mobile games. The numbers you've had are real. Mobile gaming currently about 150 to 180 million dollars globally, and expected to grow anywhere between 3x and 7x. No one even knows. It's a big number. So at Safaricom, what do we want to do? We want to enable that to happen. How do we want to do this? Number one, making sure customers have the right device. 4G, 5G is the level. In fact, we've stopped pushing 3G devices because we know customers will not get the right experience. The second thing is making sure that we have the right partnerships. You've heard from one of our partners that we want to actually work quite closely with and are already sort of like in conversations. How can we work with partners to make sure we bring these passion points to Kenyans? So currently we have 5 strategic partners, and it's working quite well. We are seeing a lot of interest in that space. The third thing is actually around working with partners to also manage sponsorships and also support tournaments. So currently we have a tournament that we are running. I don't know how many of you know we are running a national tournament. At least one hand. Up. Yeah, I can see a few behind there. So by the way, do you know what the final award is? We are giving out a car. So every single day, we have 18 winners who are getting anywhere between 500 shillings and 1,000 shillings every day. We have a leaderboard. You can play various games, whether it's challenge games or whether it's trivia, and we have a leaderboard there. So the top person there, hata anajijua leo, you can go there and you'll see it. So if you go to My Safaricom app, under Discover, under Games, you'll see a place written Challenge Arena. Simple, easy games. The final ultimate winner, we'll actually get a car. That competition is running for 90 days, and it will be closing on 11th of December. So I'm hoping that most of you will participate, isn't it? So what we're trying to do is just to facilitate and enable, but a lot more needs to be done. And I'm glad that we're having this conversation, especially how is it that we can create a global platform for our gamers? How can we encourage Kenyan local games to be developed? And we'll be discussing those in the session today. Thanks.
All right. So some very important pointers that have been mentioned there by Fawzia and Felix. Maybe you can just speak a little bit more into it. The power of connectivity, because remember for gaming, and especially the experience that you have, connectivity is a very important factor to this. How are we, or how is Safaricom playing into this to ensure, because Ronny will tell you that in an esports competition, latency is a determining factor in whether you become the ultimate winner or not. So how are we looking to address, or how are we enabling this? Yes.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you all for coming. You know, I had Ken talk about snakes, and it took me far back into history. Safaricom is at the very core of providing connectivity through telecommunication, and being the leader within the region. It means that we are putting our best foot forward to ensure that you have the right connection wherever you are. That's why we are driving 4G across board, and even now 5G is coming on board. And we do this because we want to give you good quality of service and enable you to do things on the digital space with ease. So when it comes to gaming, you see gaming has grown majorly because of connectivity. Right now, you can play a game with somebody from wherever in the world because you have connection. It's across different cultures, across different countries. And Safaricom is at the forefront of ensuring that that the customers that we have the connectivity across board. So currently we have a very big coverage of 4G almost throughout the country. We are now driving 5G also across the country. And when 5G comes in, then you'll see a bit more uptick of gaming when it comes to virtual games, with the VRs, and much more, and AR. So Safaricom is very intentional in doing all this. So, and we've been saying, we've been very good at doing voice and doing data bundles, but now we are stepping big time into what we are calling lifestyle and digital. So when it comes to music, video, education, and upmost, gaming becomes what we will be driving. So at Safaricom, we are creating the network, having it ready for gaming. But besides that, we are also building capabilities within Safaricom to ensure that we have the right resources who can be able to build games so that we don't only consume from outside, but we have skills among us. And I'm sure in this crowd, we probably have a number of us who are game developers. If Safaricom can be able to give you that chance and opportunity to build games, then you're able to, to share your skill across the world. So we are an enabler on the network perspective, but beyond that, we're also looking at how do we also build the capabilities within the market. And even as Fawzia mentioned, the device game becomes the biggest bit. So we'll be looking at how can we partner with various providers to ensure that we bring in the right devices that will be fit for future in terms of being able to grow gaming, not only within Safaricom, but within Kenya and across Africa.
Okay. Thank you so much. Ken, I'm interested to find out, and this is actually taken from the example of Snake. What impact did that game have on the Nokia devices at the time when you're dealing with it, on the sales? Were you sort of like able to tie up? And because I remember it was one of the go-to things on the Nokia 3310.
Okay, so let me land this first. So today my gaming console of choice is Xbox.
Sure.
And I just realized this generation that is coming later on, they beat me at every turn. Maybe because I'm growing, I'm older. But of course, when I'm having my downtime, I like playing Candy Crush. My level is 3,600. I can't wait to get to 4,000. Okay. But if you bring it back, allow me to just zoom in and zoom out a bit. So, okay, fast forward from Snakes to today. I think some of the leaps that have happened that is making everything possible is if you look at the kind of chipsets that we're able to have on the phones that we carry on our hands today compared to a dozen years ago, that's enabling quite a number of things. My colleague has also spoken about then the connectivity. Because today, actually, when I was sitting in here, I don't play Roblox with my daughters, but sometimes I worry about what they're doing in there, and it hit me, what stops me from forming an account on Roblox? And I go finding them there. I don't know if they're going to like it, but the compute power that is already there in the phones is enabling quite a number of things. Now, I think linked to the question that you're asking in terms of what it enables, and hopefully another question is going to come, seeing my friend and peer Fawzia in the audience talking about what it does to consumers. I think one of the things that it easily drives for us is engagement, which was not possible before. It's possible now because now with every game that you're playing, it's connected. I've got different devices, and depending on the one that I pick, my game is synced up to that level. But the kind of level of engagement that I would have with that as compared to others, I think that is unparalleled. And bringing it closer home, so today I've got the enviable task at Nation Media Group of driving our digital revenues to grow to where it is. Today, we're easily the #1 publisher because of the number of times we publish and seeing over 3 million people on the platform. But one of the things that we are seeing in the games that we post, so whether it's Sudoku or it is a puzzle, this is online. I'm not talking about the print business. I think what I'm looking out for today and within the ecosystem, because it is an ecosystem as we get them, is to say, how do I bring in more people? The average dwell time, and you can see that easily from SimilarWeb, on my platform is about 4.5 minutes. How do I get this to 7-8 minutes? Yes. Gaming is going to be one of the things that will be able to do that, and hopefully in the next round, just talking about not just gaming, but then gamification, on how then do you make sure that you're engaging and you're making it easy and pleasant to solve a plethora of things that you are seeing, from mental wellness, which is a really big thing, and how gaming can help in that, to other issues. Hopefully then coming on the next round, I will tell you, I like personalizing stories of what I see gaming doing, say to my 2 sons who are in their 20s and are autistic, and I'm amazed at what I see them doing with the same screen, which nobody would ever thought that they can do. All right, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. On that, just picking up from that contribution, gaming is definitely, or gamification is definitely one of the very key elements that actually drives engagement. What opportunities, Ronny, are there for local game developers with this? Because as we know right now, there are many games that we played as kids that would really be very happy to have online versions of the same, but there are very few. Maybe with some few examples, because I know you probably have some. What opportunities are there, and what have others done before, and what has it earned them?
Yeah, when it comes to developing local games, it's twofold. You may develop games that are casual games, and you may develop games that you're targeting them to be competitive esports titles. So I'd say when it comes to the casual games, we are seeing some growth in our country that is positive. Just last weekend, we were in Paris with the developer of a local game known as Hero. Hero is a Maasai adventure game, and he was able to beat his counterparts from across the continent to the award that was being done in the Creative Africa Forum. That just shows you that we have developers here who are now using our culture, our history, and putting it in there for us to grow. There's also an opportunity even for people in other forms of entertainment. You recently saw the song Matata have their song in one of the popular video game titles, Esports FC. You've seen recently a football celebration made popular by a Kenyan player, Sven Yida, being put in the EAFC game. So for our local developers, it's just to give them more support. I think there is need for more funding to what they do, and also to give them a platform to showcase exactly what they do, because sometimes that platform is lacking, and that's where esports comes in. Even if we are playing AAA games developed by people in the West, we can use the platform of esports to promote these new games, to have them as exhibition games on the side, so that even in events like this, if people come, they can be able to test these Kenyan games, so that we can push. If we push and have a strong culture of developing casual games, it will be easier for us to go up the ladder of developing now AAA competitive games that can be used in global esports competitions.
Oh, that's great. Staying on the same point again, how is infrastructure well supported to be able to deliver this? Because you see, as a game developer, I might be able to develop the game, but I need to have it somewhere where it's easily accessible, where people are able to sort of like stream or download. I want to believe that if I go to Europe, I go to Saudi Arabia right now and play a game, let's say Tekken, and you bring me here, the experience will be different. What is that really brings in the difference, and how therefore can partners like the telcos fit into support? This to you, Ronny.
Frank, when I was studying at the University of Nairobi, and sometimes we used to demand for our rights in an unpopular way, comrades used to say, when you give us our right, we will not say thank you, we'll ask for more. So in the same way, I think Safaricom are doing a good job supporting gamers, but we could also ask for more. We could like to see our telco partnering with these big video game publishers and the companies setting up data centers to localize the servers, because having these video game servers in our country will really open up the opportunities. Having video game servers means more people will be playing. More people playing means more demand for playing devices, be it consoles or smartphones. More people playing means we can now host international competitions, esports competitions, which promote our tourism, give us revenue, beyond esports. As you said, people playing in Saudi Arabia or in US, it's because the servers are there and the latency is good. So when you bring world superstars to play from our country right now, they'll complain that the game is slower than they are used to. And also when you take our talent abroad, you find that being a challenge, that before they adapt to the speed of the game, sometimes you're already knocked out. But already we are seeing some of our video gamers do well, yet their foundation is playing far from the server. So I just say for telcos, we need to see that partnership with video game publishers, even beyond just servers, even in issues like fintech, because payment solutions in these video games in the African market is also a challenge. People being forced to pay by the dollar, people being forced to create accounts as if they don't live in the continent. Yes. So there are a myriad of opportunities that telcos working with video game publishers can really open up.
Yeah, that's really true, because today if you try and set up your PlayStation account, you either have to say you are from South Africa, or so there's quite a, that just tells you that there's quite a lot that needs to be done so that we sort of like fully identify as a gaming nation, which would really be nice. Maybe to you, Fawzia, given the comments that what more can Safaricom do? We're already doing much, but there's much more to be done. What more can Safaricom do to try and plug in some of those gaps?
I mean, just listening, there's so many things that have just come to mind, and maybe let me reflect. When we were launching 5G, I remember we had one of the gamers, he's called Brian the Beast. I don't know how many of you know him. And he actually called himself an athlete. And I know people laughed, but actually it is true. He considers his craft to the level that he can be compared at a global level with other gamers in the world. The only thing he asked is, can we dedicate in the network? In fact, he asked me this question and I went thinking, and you've just brought it back again, and I'm reflecting actually, because my son is a gamer. I'm not a gamer, but I have an avid gamer in the house. And I remember when I first got a fiber account, I got a bronze account. We didn't even last 2 days. We went to silver and kept upgrading until we got to gold. And then he said, okay, now, Mom, now I can be able to play. But even at that level, Brian the Beast was saying, he wishes on the network we could have a dedicated channel for gamers. Because when they're playing internationally, they're playing with people who have the servers that are locally in the country. Currently, we are caching quite a bit of content here. We are caching YouTube here. Yes. We are caching TikTok locally. But we're not caching gaming content here. No. So we are not giving our gamers an opportunity where they can actually have a platform to excel and succeed. So I think for me, that's the first thing, picking from what you've said. We can build all the network we can, but if we don't have local caching in country, we'll still not be able to improve the experience. So I think that's one thing that we can do. We will continue to expand our network and ensure that it delivers high speed. So 5G, we believe, is one of the areas in which gamers can really be able to benefit. It really is supersonic speed. But how do we ensure that it's almost dedicated wherever you are so that you're not sharing it with others to allow you to excel? Something we have to think about. I think he mentioned working with publishers. But beyond that, it's how do we get these local gamers? Like I heard about that hero game a while ago. He'd been building it, and now it's won an award, which is fantastic. How can we ensure that our next challenges arena, Frank, now that you work in my team, it will be your task. You ensure that actually it's a Kenyan developed game that we are running as a national contest, and we have a car. So how do we elevate locally developed games? But I think it's also working with academia. I've seen that there are quite a number of universities now and institutes that are supporting mobile game development as a course. So how do we work with them so that we can be able to enhance all this? Because by doing this, then we will be demystifying the notion that most parents have that gaming is a waste of time. It's actually a career that people can actually be able to grow in. So I'm picking a lot from this conversation in terms of what we can do more in addition to what we are doing currently.
And now that you still have the mic, I realize I've picked some actions from here. So that's noted. But now that you still have the mic.
For those of you who don't know, Frank, he didn't introduce himself. He works in my digital services tribe, and he's responsible for gaming.
Okay.
And he has been able to actually move gaming to almost 100 million shillings a month from almost nothing. So please give Frank a hand. Just by bringing together partnerships, by working, so currently he's been able to bring over 5 strategic partners. Now we're working with even individual sort of like games, working through the experience. We have a long way to go. But he started the journey, but I think just listening to this, there's a lot that you need to do, Frank.
There's a lot to be done. And this is why I am asking, what next? What is the next thing that we are looking at in gaming?
I think for me, the next thing, looking at the trends, is we need to be able to facilitate and enable more immersive types of gaming. So whether it's VR, AR, and we have a booth. Where is it, Frank?
It's right outside there.
It's right outside.
There's a gaming setup.
There's a gaming setup there. Please go and try it out. But further to that, just beyond the summit, because this is only today and tomorrow, we have actually set up zones in 3 of our shops, at Village Market, The Hub, and at Buruburu, where you can actually be able to experience an immersive game. I can tell you, I actually experienced a boxing match. There was a TKO even before I got to 1 minute. I think I need to improve on my skills. But I mean, it really puts you in the game. You're actually experiencing with the other players in a very immersive way. But what that means is that we need higher bandwidth. That's why it can only operate on 5G. And of course, we also need to figure out how do we ensure that we work with manufacturers of these devices so that the price can come down and it can become a bit more affordable. But we believe that's the next level. How do we scale that? We need to work with all the partners to make sure that the device prices come down. From a network perspective, we commit to be able, to expand the network to ensure that the whole country is covered by 5G. Currently, we have 34 counties covered. We're just working towards making sure the rest of the country is covered. Thanks.
All right. To Felix. So the power of connectivity, I think it's very clear from the comments from Ronny and Fawzia. How is actually this important? Because Felix is also a tech delivery lead. How is this important in the terms of game experience and play? I mean, some of this has already been spoken to, but the request is just to paint a picture on what is capable on the Safaricom network currently.
Thank you. So I think first and foremost, with the advancement of good speeds, 4G, 5G, and even home is very big, and because you play games even on your mobile phone or even on the PC or even on the TV. The first thing is it has brought on board cross-platform as well as cross-device, meaning that initially you'd only play games between a given OS. If it was iOS, it was iOS. If it was Android, it was Android. But now you can play games that cut across different platforms. You could only play probably across given devices. It could be only mobile to mobile, or probably it could be on PlayStations. Right now you can play games across different devices. So we've advanced in terms of gaming, and all this has been made possible because of connectivity that we are seeing through the good speeds within our network. Secondly, we are getting also high quality games and videos, because with speed it means that you can transmit data a bit much faster. So as we move to 5G, then it becomes a very good experience. That's why even Fawzia is saying we are building experiential centers within our shops. And I think going forward, you'll find that a big chunk of our offering will be mostly experiential, whereby you go to a place, you experience it first before we are able to give it to you. And then again, we have more almost real-time kind of gaming, allowing you to play with people across the globe and have a good experience. I know there's work to be done in terms of latency, and I think Ronny mentioned, also Fawzia mentioned, probably local caching and local servers will help in doing that. But if you compare what we have now, as against what we had probably 10, 5 years back, we are in a better space. So connectivity has enabled us to be able to have that near real-time experience when you are doing gaming. And then I think on top of it, I think the price of games have gone down. Initially, it was a preserve for a few, and most guys would only play probably the basic games. But with it being opened, it means that even those very expensive games are now more affordable, and the space has been opened, meaning that you have more guys now building games, more companies coming on board. But all this is underlined because of connectivity that has been brought about by the likes of Safaricom and other telcos in the world.
True, yeah. And on that regard, it would also be good to mention that now you're able to even get gaming hardware online on our Masoko e-commerce platform. So we are trying to ensure that from a distribution perspective, we also sort of like avail this so that you don't have to struggle to acquire some of this gaming hardware that you would require. I can see we have about 5 minutes left, so we'll try and just sort of like go through a round of the final comments or parting shots. We'll start with Ken. Some comments and a parting shot as we progress.
Good. You're not Maina, but I will not let this pass. Let me tell you, Maina. We've spoken about gaming, but one of the biggest pieces that we see online, and Fawzia, I know you see it on your network, is betting, which one way or another is gaming. And it is big for all its pros and cons. We see it, but sometimes as somebody who is a marketing practitioner, I try to think, what is it telling me? There is a void that is being filled by that, and one of the things that I'm thinking at the back of my mind is, and how then do we help to channel that? I had 4 thoughts. Of course, I think second, for those of you enthusiasts in the gaming industry, I think this year, the biggest deal globally is going to get closed when Microsoft completes the acquisition of Activision. Mm-hmm. That is a $68 billion transaction, one of the largest in gaming history. And I think there's a lot of excitement about that and how that plays out in the streaming space and the rest. The third piece, and this is picking up from earlier on panels that I listened to, is about EdTech, which is an area that we at Nation Media Group are interested in, is seeing CBC coming on one side and seeing what I see my sons and daughters doing technologically and what gaming can really help them, because it's not as linear as when we went to school. And I think a really big part of what we're going to see going forward is, I think that's one key area for which growth would be. And then, of course, for me, the final piece that I wanted to say is, and it was also mentioned earlier, I pride myself in being a commercial person, in seeing the commercial opportunities, and I'm a developer's very good friend for the last many years. And at some point, I'm really happy to have conversations around about what is it that is market ready that we see that could sit on a publisher's platform or could sit on mobile phones that is contextual. Because at the end of the day, you can make money while playing, because that's what it is. And seeing so many developers in here, I'm really happy to carry on those conversations from here and really seeing us create more local games. It's great the international or global games that we have, but I think for us, really more local contextual games, potentially local characters rather than global characters. We can do it, guys. And seeing people like Mbugo Nji here and Oyolla, with whom we've been on the trenches in this tech space, starting from the earlier days and terminating here today, has been really the privilege of my life being part of this. Those are my closing comments.
Yes.
Yeah. So for me, I think gaming is very big, as we've mentioned, and I think the future is still in gaming. And what will happen is that you'll find many things being gamified. We did something with one of our products, monthly bundles, and we saw a very big uptake when we just gamified it. So it's something we'll keep doing over time. And probably to the developers. In Safaricom, we are building that gaming community. So if you want to partner with us in terms of being able to plug in and to be able to ideate with us, you're welcome. And let us make it big. And I think a crossboard is just to probably create a sense of what gaming is. I think it's still one of those areas that we don't speak much about. It's way past, it's past music and video, but we don't say much about it. So I think we'll begin shouting about gaming going forward as Safaricom, and you can help us do the same also in your own space, so so that we make it a reality across board. I think we've seen gaming being big within Egypt when it comes to Africa. I think Kenya is the next place where gaming will be very big, and I'm seeing us going to the level of even passing Egypt in the very near future. But very happy to meet the panel here, have this discussion, and I think one day we'll look back and we'll realize that we had this discussion, and the future we were speaking about has become a reality and is the present.
True. Yes. Yes, Ronny, you could go and as part of your parting shot, you can actually just speak briefly about the common misconceptions that we have on gaming. I think it would be important just to speak about that and paint a picture of how people are actually making a living from gaming.
Yeah, thank you, Frank. And to touch on that, I'll start by saying, beyond all these big numbers, let us not forget the power of gaming as a tool for social good. Yes. We should leverage its popularity among the youth to tackle crime, to tackle drug abuse. We should leverage that popularity to address challenges like mental health and other challenges facing us in the society. So every time we speak about gaming, we should always remember that it brings people together to solve problems. It promotes teamwork, it promotes harmony and integration. So let that not always be lost on us when we focus on the commercial side. Let us also remember the role it has to play now in education. As we speak of engineers here, video gaming is now being used to develop the next phase of engineers. The problem-solving skills our children are learning from Roblox, from Minecraft, are what is now being used to encourage them to take up coding and to become better in it. In Stanford, they are developing a vaccine using the skills of video gamers in solving puzzles. So from an education point of view, we can use gaming and gamification to solve problems, even in security. The same way we've been recruiting people in the army because they are good rugby players or football players. Now security is going digital. You need people who can operate machines like the drone and other digital equipment. Those skills are found in esports and video gaming, and we should look to that side. So that just tells you that the misconception that gaming is people wasting time should really be tackled, but it cannot be done by one person or one entity. It's a collective duty for all of us to educate each other, not to tire with it. I'm glad to see Kenya because Nation Media have given me an opportunity now for the last 6 months. I do weekly columns on esports and video gaming, which is just a challenge that enables us to speak to people outside gaming. And also, I'll just advocate for more video gaming and esports events because they show people the passion and the unity and the competitive nature that can be developed through esports and video gaming. So for us, it's just let's continue pushing that awareness so that these misconceptions can be tackled. And the only way is to amplify the good that comes from gaming while tackling the challenges, not to say that the challenges are not there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Fawzia?
Thought we were done. Yeah, so I think for me the parting shot is just going back to our purpose. Why do we exist as Safaricom? We truly believe that in Safaricom we're here to transform lives. And just as has been mentioned, there are so many young people who have such wide range of talent, and we need to look at this as one of the opportunities that we can use to just create platforms and opportunities for them to leverage gaming so that they may be able to thrive. I can see it being used, I think has already been mentioned, in terms of driving an easier way to teach kids how to learn, how to do math, just using gamification to learn math. Because math, the minute you tell kids about math, they just block their minds. But the minute you use a bit of gamification, it becomes a little bit easier. How we can use it to build a community of people who have similar interests. But I think ultimately it's how can we actually leverage gaming to empower the youth. So on Friday, just an invitation to all of you, we'll be launching the Safaricom Youth Platform. Look out for it. The teasers are out there. We are calling it, you'll see. Let me not burst the bubble. We'll be launching it in Eldoret, and gaming will be one of the pillars that we'll be using to connect with the youth. And just like you're saying, showcase those who have gone ahead, those who are actually making it, and trying to bring together an ecosystem, because we can't do it alone, bringing together an ecosystem that will make this a movement in the country. So just welcome you all so that we can take this together. If there's anyone here who believes that they can work with us, Frank is here, he'll be around tomorrow. Whether you're a developer, whether you think there's a tournament that you think we need to work together with, whether there is an opportunity that you think we can explore in this gaming space, please reach out to us. We are open, we will listen. On the back of it, we'll make sure the network is ready. We'll make sure our customers have the right devices. We'll work with our partners in terms of making sure that we bring, I like the point you raised around why are we paying for games in dollars. I know it was the same even on Google, on the Play Store. Now you can actually buy games there or buy whatever it is using M-Pesa. How about we do that and just ensure that customers can just use M-Pesa? So I think if you have any ideas, please reach out to Frank or any of us. Let's make actually this a reality. I think it can open up opportunities for our youth and remove the stigma that many people have that gaming is just a waste of time. So thank you very much for coming. I hope this was useful for you. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I don't think I can do a better closing than that. Let's just give a round of applause to the panelists as I call upon Mbugua.